Hello guys, once again it's Matt, and today we have another video. Thank you all the members and all the subscribers, all the patrons. Make sure to subscribe. We're trying to hit 15,000 subscribers until the end of the year. And let's get going. Today we're going to talk about all the inconsistencies or the wrongdoings that the F-16 has in War Thunder a little bit. I had the help of Lazy Lime, which is one of my moderators in the Discord that helps me a lot on this type of thing. She's basically an expert on F-16s compared to what I know about F-16s or American aircraft in a general sense. So yeah, let's get going. This video should not be that long. So yeah, we are going to have some parts. So let's talk about the part 1. So let's talk a little bit about cockpits. So the Block 10 in real life, it had basically this. I mean, the cockpit in the game right now, it's perfect. It's really good. It really is good. I cannot say how much it is similar to what some pictures from what we have right now in real life in some F-16s, right? But there is some little factors, like for example the animations of the kind of MFD looking panel that we have on the left side. Basically that says what type of ammo and guns that you're going to use and missiles and stuff, and basically it's a weapons panel. So yeah, that doesn't light up and doesn't say anything to you. So maybe they could actually add that would be very cool in this. So yeah, this is basically the only thing that it's technically wrong in the Block 10. On the Block 15 it has a minor thing. So instead of the AOA indicator and the little knobs that control a little bit of the navigation system of the aircraft be on top or just above the radar screen, it is actually an altimeter that it's there, and on the place of the altimeter is the AOA and that other little thing there. So yeah, just a minor change on the Block 15s that it had in real life. I don't know how many of these were used. This is not really something that it matters too much. Because sometimes in aviation they just change the location of one of those things due to some other minor thing. So yeah, and we have also the Block 15 MLU, which is the Block 20 cockpit, which is completely different. It is basically standardized to the F-16Cs. So as you see here, it's MFDs and it's completely different. So maybe they can add in the future that as well. Pretty cool, right? So the cockpit is the part 1. Part 2 is radars. Radars are really weird right now. If you remember, the Block 10 used the APG-66 radar, which is a very bad radar, to be honest. They only had about 35 to 40 kilometers of lock. So yeah, you can see that in the game. It's really hard to lock something beyond 40 kilometers. It is just really impossible, almost. And yeah, the Block 15 ADF had basically a better version for that, increasing the range for about 20 kilometers, especially for the use of the monopole seekers missiles like the M7M. So this would be the APG-66 V1. So both the American Block 15 ADF and the Italian Block 15 ADF should have this better version of a radar. You can see the different model of the radar on the AFF spikes that it has under the nose and below the nose as well. Pretty cool. And then we have the most advanced one, the Block 20, again the Taiwanese, the most advanced one, the Block 15 MLU. It was to be using the APG-66 V3, which was a further upgrade with better, longer ranges, you know, with the Sparrow, and also TWS carried over from the V2. So that would be amazing as well. More range, more missile, like more modes as well. So that would be very cool, and it could fully utilize the M7M then with that. So that would be very nice, especially with the TWS. So these would be the radars. The radars need to be changed. Obviously we have a little thing that we need to say about the radar of the Block 10. Technically it can use the M7F. The capability was never fully utilized in the American service due to the Block 10 never being fully used in the US service, but still it can use the M7F. But it's just that real life problems and, I mean, money going for the other versions and they making the C variant fairly soon after this just made them not utilize this as a BVR weapon in the US service, okay? The nets, I mean, Technically, they can use the BVR as well. They even apparently use the Derby missile on the net. So I don't know, for a short time. So I don't know. Maybe the nets can get kind of a Sparrow missile, maybe, I don't know, something like that. But to be honest, I really think that they are just dividing the way of gameplay. And we're going to talk about a little bit of this right now in the part 3. So part 3, weapons loadout. So this is where the bigger things are. So yeah, for example, the Block 10, you can use the M9Ls, the M9Js, Ps and stuff. But the guided weapons were, even though they're listed, it's kind of a misconception due to the way that the American manuals worked from the Block 10 to the Block 15. So apparently, the Block 15 and Block 10 manuals were the same manual in the US, in the American flight manual, which means that it can be misinterpreted to be using Mavericks. So yeah, this aircraft doesn't even have an MFD. So consider that, how it would use the Maverick. Yeah, it's problematic, right? Even though the Block 15 could use it with the HUD, but still, the Block 10 probably didn't use it, the Maverick or any guided weapon. Probably just the M9Ls, M9Js, and unguided stuff like bombs and rockets, okay? So this would be the first F-16 that should be in the tree of the Americans, right? Just with A9s, just with A9Js and Ls and dumb bombs like the Mark 80 series and rockets, and that's it. Then the Block 15. The Block 15 has a caveat to that as well. Technically, it could carry the Mavericks, but the problem is that it didn't have a properly way to display the camera of the Maverick. So apparently, the only way that it could use it is basically using the HUD, which would mean that it's very, very difficult for a pilot in real life to actually lock it. You would not have that camera from the Maverick, right? Only with the OCU, MLU packages from the late 80s and 90s, a massive overhaul of the cockpit would make it so that it's actually usable with the camera of the Maverick. It's not that it cannot use it, it's just that it would use just with the HUD, which is a problem, right? So yeah, very weird, but still. Of course, you could carry the M9Ls, M7Fs, and whatever, right? And then we have the little thing that I was going to talk about, the ADF. So the ADF is actually an air defense fighter version, right? So it's basically an interceptor version of the F-16A. It is meant to be used as an interceptor. So in the National Air Guard, they actually didn't use it with ground capabilities, ground striking capabilities, right? So they normally used with the M9Ls and Ms, M7Fs and Ms, and even the M120 later. So it kind of becomes a problem. The aircraft itself, the ADF, can actually carry the guided ammunition and dumb bombs, but in the US service, they didn't use these capabilities. So, and probably in the Italian service as well. They probably didn't use the F-16 for that as well. So I don't know what they can do. The normal Block 15s could use it, but the ADF as well can, but they didn't. So I don't know. In my opinion, I think the Block 10 should not have the Mavericks and just have dumb bombs. And then the ADF have just the A9Ls, M7Fs and Ms and M120s. Maybe check if the Italian Air Force actually use it as a ground striker. If that is the case, I add the Mavericks and bombs for the Italian version of the ADF. But if not, I think for the US, the Block 10 would be more realistic, the Block 10 with just M9Ls and M9Js and dumb bombs and rockets, and the Block 15 ADF just with M9Ls and Ms in the future, M7Fs and Ms in the future, and M120s in the future, and no guided or bombs or anything like that, because the Air National Guard actually didn't use it, you know? That would be more realistic. And then check if the Italians actually use it for ground striking. If they did, add it for them. This would be more realistic in my opinion. And then we go for the Block 15 or Block 20 MLU, right? Which can carry not only the M9Ls and Ps and M7Ms and M120s even, with the Beta Raider, and also can carry air-to-ground, modern air-to-ground weapons like the AGM-65G with the thermals and stuff. So that would be very, very interesting, and it can even use a lantern pod. So maybe that can be used. Maybe they will add this when the C variant comes for other nations. because the Taiwanese only use this version, the A version. So when the US, for example, get the C variant with all of these capabilities, maybe they can add for the MLU these capabilities as well to be as good as that. Then we have part 4, a little bit on flight performance. Of course, we have a very realistic model, if I'm not mistaken here, on the flight model. But we just think that the Block 15 elevator should be a little bit better in the turning capabilities. So less high-speed compression that it has right now, and a little bit less loss of speed on the tighter turns due to the way that the vortex happen in the Block 10 and not in the Block 15, right? So more drag on the Block 10 than the 15 on the elevator makes it lose more energy. Which is funny because the Block 15 actually has a larger elevator, but it creates more drag. It's very, very funny how engineering works, right? And then the last part of the video, a very quick one, misconceptions about the F-16. The Block 15 ADF was not technically, as I said, the first model to use the Sparrow. Technically, it was the Block 10, but it's a thing that Lockheed actually had an export brochure that states that the ADF was the first USAF F-16 to actually use the Sparrow, so the Block 15, right? ADFs. But technically, all the F-16s can carry. It's just that America didn't really reuse the earlier blocks, and they probably didn't sell too many of these BVR-capable Block 10s abroad as well. So yeah, that's probably what happens. I just think that it needs to be realistic. If the Block 10 in real life didn't use normally in operations the Sparrows, it should not use it. If the ADF didn't use normally in US service the air-to-ground, it should not have it. This is my opinion. I think every guy kind of agrees, and I think it's just a weird way that everybody thinks, right? Also, Block 15s cannot use targeting pods, especially because the way that the panel is and that panel on the left side and stuff, it's problematic, right? So yeah, they basically didn't use in the Block 15s, and like literally shortly after the Block 15 they made the C variants, which were much more modern and had way more like capabilities and stuff, so they didn't need to upgrade these Block 15s as well for that. And also the AGM 88 harm was not used until the Block 50, so a lot of people think that it can be used before. Anti-radiation is coming probably soon, so yeah, maybe the Shrike can be used, but I cannot confirm that. And also the brakes of the F-16s, besides the MLU, should be buffed, as there are no drag chutes, and the brakes that they used had shorter lifespans than the normal ones, just due to the way that not having basically a chute would need to be, right? So yeah, they had better brakes. So basically this is it, guys. I think the main thing is the radar and the weapons loadouts. I think the weapon loadouts, I mean, it's kind of weird right now how it is, but I understand what they are thinking, but it's complicated. They had their historical team there to actually research these things, and maybe they find stuff that we cannot in the internet, so maybe that's that, but still. But the radar is just a common thing that I think it needs, the ADFs and the Block 20 needs the better radar. It will help a lot fighting in the BVR arena against these more modern and better aircraft in radar capabilities like the MiG-29, the Su-27s in the future, F-15s and others. So yeah, but basically this is it, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe, and I see you guys on the next one. Bye guys, see ya.